So if you look anywhere on the internet, there's all sorts of videos doing challenges on 1000x altcoins, and there are thousands of altcoins that are promising to do these wonderful things and promising 100 to 1000% gains. But in that lies a huge problem of actually finding legitimate altcoins that have real projects and aren't actually scams. So in this video, I'll be using my 4 years of experience as an equities day trader and my 6 years experience as a stock and crypto investor to make sure you're only getting into ones that have been properly vetted and actually have some sort of substance behind them. And if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you hit the like button on this video. YouTube kind of likes to control the cryptocurrency content that comes out as of right now. So in order for us to push up mass adoption, we need to make sure that we're liking and pushing up this cryptocurrency content. Also, if you're new to my channel, I make content all about personal finance, day trading, and crypto investing. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn all bell notifications on. That way, if I have a trade idea or something that's important in that space, you'll be aware. But without further ado, let's talk about a project that I really like that will help us narrow the focus and stay out of trouble when it comes to altcoins and corruption. So if you follow cryptocurrency at all, I'm sure you're aware of Vitalik, who is actually the creator of Ethereum. And Ethereum is actually the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap next to Bitcoin. So anything that Vitalik really says is kind of like Elon Musk in a sense, where everyone really, really respects his word, considering that he is the creator of some of the most pioneering cryptocurrency technology. And basically right now, Vitalik came out with a brand new concepts regarding ICOs, or initial coin offerings, in the crypto space. So if you're familiar with stocks at all, you'll know about something called an IPO, which is an initial public offering. This is the first time where the average individual investor can publicly invest in a company. So when a cryptocurrency is brought to an exchange and added to an exchange, they have an initial coin offering where the public is now able to invest capital into those coins on a public exchange. And this process became very, very popular in 2017 when we got that initial altcoin boost. The only problem is there's a massive amount of corruption when it comes to ICOs, and there's a ton of projects that have just pulled the rug out from investors' legs and stole a lot of their money. So that's a huge problem in the crypto space, especially with smaller, more speculative projects. Altcoins are basically considered the wild, wild west of cryptocurrency. So there's oftentimes a lot of corruption with projects where they'll basically pump something up and overhype it, and then the creators hold a large majority stake in these cryptos and they can actually dump the tokens. Okay, they can also rip the liquidity out of these exchanges so that you basically can't get in and out of the crypto. They can also issue more tokens, which will dilute the entire supply and will turn your cryptocurrency worthless. Or they can have poorly written code into the cryptocurrency, which basically would allow the internal parts of the cryptocurrency to potentially hire a hacker that figures out this loophole and steals all the money before the investors can get any access to it. Point being, there's a lot of corruption with ICOs in smaller crypto projects. So how do we find some sort of legitimacy when we're investing in these smaller companies that can average us a little bit higher yields, maybe with a smaller portfolio? If you're looking for like a 5 or 10x investment, obviously the smarter choice would be to go with something with a slightly higher market cap. The only issue with things with slightly higher market caps, such as Ethereum or Tether, you need a lot more participation in order to increase the market cap and increase the price per coin, which is going to increase your position. With these smaller projects, because their market capitalization is so low, it requires a lot less market participation in volume to 10x to 1000x these coins, which is where the major returns happen. But obviously when there's less money involved, there's more illegitimacy. And there was an entity established for these specific reasons in the US stock market called the Securities and Exchange Commission, basically like the police officers or the FBI for the stock market. They're making sure that everything's regulated and that there's no shady activity going on, especially with pink sheet or penny stocks ultimately. But as you can see right here, currently there is no US federal regulator that supervises trading of crypto assets. And that is extremely scary to an investor that's pouring maybe potentially thousands of dollars into a small project where the creators of the project can literally screw with the money and walk away with the money anytime they choose. So this is where we found a very, very interesting coin doing a very, very interesting process called Trust Swap. And there's actually been a lot of people asking about Trust Swap in the cryptocurrency Discord. I will link that below. You can join for free if you choose so. We also have a premium section. But basically, Trust Swap is a network that's trying to improve upon that illegitimacy factor and basically vet a lot of these cryptocurrencies to allow people to invest in speculative altcoins without knowing absolutely nothing about the companies and basically being able to have the wool pulled over their eyes and getting screwed. Okay, so this is a very, very interesting coin. Mind you, I really, really like TrustSwap. It's under $4 a coin right now. So if they're going to do and continue to do the things that they're talking about doing, this could be a very, very good investment moving into the next 5 to 10 years. I will definitely be adding this to my portfolio. I don't have allocations yet, but I really, really like TrustSwap and what they're doing. I'm going to dive into exactly what they're doing and why I like it and how kind of to use it. And then I'm going to break down the technical analysis to show you where we could potentially dip buy TrustSwap if we are to have a sell-off in the overall crypto market. So basically, TrustSwap is a full-service digital asset ecosystem. So essentially, they sort of are the middleman for you to invest in smaller altcoins. And how you do that is by staking the TrustSwap coin into their ecosystem and then using that to invest in their launchpad projects. So if we go over here, we can actually go to their launchpad and they will showcase smaller cryptocurrencies that they are going to host in their network and are basically going to allow exclusive access to invest in these startup companies, but they have been vetted through the process of TrustSwap. Now, I know a lot of people are probably asking, how can we trust TrustSwap? What if they're in on the whole corruption deal where they're just promoting these smaller companies and they have backdoor deals with them so that they can screw investors over? And that's a great question. So basically, their network prevents cryptocurrencies to prematurely raise too much money for either infrastructure that is a solution to a problem that hasn't even arisen yet, or just over speculation on small projects that aren't even legitimate yet, that just have too much hype because maybe they have too much press, or they have been marketed to gather a lot of capital but are actually built on corrupt infrastructure. So the intent is for voters to start off by giving the development team a reasonable but not too high monthly budget and raise it over time as the team demonstrates its ability to competently execute with its existing budget. So basically, TrustSwap evaluates their process and puts a price point on a reasonable monthly budget that this cryptocurrency needs in order to develop, but it won't allow too much money to flow into it. So it kind of gradually grows it over time. And if they're performing well, money will continue flowing. If they're not performing well and they stop hitting deadlines, you can literally pull your investment out at any time, and they cannot pull liquidity out, they cannot increase the supply, and they cannot dump the coin because you have all of these protective measures in order to prevent them from doing that. So they actually have something called smart locks, and you can actually look at each individual altcoin right here, and you can actually look at the amount of liquidity that is completely locked up and the total amount of tokens that are also locked up. So TrustSwap sort of adds that secondary layer of legitimacy for these smaller projects that we're investing in. And obviously, if we have less money that we're using to invest with, we want to shoot for larger gains so that we can increase the total amount of money we have in our portfolio to then reallocate into more stable investments. And they actually showcase a lot of the previous launches that they've done on TrustSwap. And one of the projects that I really, really like, and I actually talked about this in another video, I will link it above, but Chain Games. Chain Games is a really, really cool concept of a cryptocurrency that allows you to basically gamble on esports. So instead of all the large gamers accumulating all of the money, you can have individual smaller gamers be betting on each other's performances through this cryptocurrency, and I really, really like this project. It's actually up 2,500% since they dropped it on TrustSwap's launchpad. So it's very, very cool. They have a lot of really high potential projects that have a certain amount of legitimacy, which I really, really like. But there's other applications for TrustSwap's network that are really, really cool. So we can have automated employee payment, so like an automated smart contract process. You can also pay for subscriptions. You can have will executions. So if you die and you want to have your capital liquidated and sent to a certain wallet, you can set that up automatically. And you can also send an allowance or gifts through the network. So there's a lot of really, really cool elements about TrustSwap that I really, really like. I like TrustSwap overall, but also the projects within their launchpad I really, really like as well. A lot of them I'm actually invested in with small allocations, usually 1% to 2% allocations in my entire portfolio. And you can see we're really, really early on in the development process of TrustSwap. So there's a lot of growth potential to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see TrustSwap entering the $30 to $50 range within the next couple years. But personally, I will be investing a good amount of my portfolio into TrustSwap along with the smaller projects that they're hosting. But now, as always, I'm going to break down the technical levels where I'm looking to dip buy TrustSwap with most of my portfolio allocation if we are to see a major pullback. But personally, we are so early in the adoption phase of cryptocurrency overall that any time right now is going to be a good buy depending on your time horizon for your investment. If you're looking within only the next 1 to 2 years, yeah, you might be buying trading right now a little higher. But to me, the risk of not having any exposure to any of these cryptocurrencies because you think they're way too overvalued and waiting for a pullback that might never come or might come way later than you think is more risky than just having certain percent allocations set up. So maybe you get some exposure now and you have cash on hand so that when you see a major pullback in these, you have a game plan to execute and buy more. So personally, I think the risk of not being in the market at all is higher than trying to wait for a perfect pullback to get in at a price that you really, really like. That being said, I want to talk about some technical levels on Swap USDT so that we have a game plan. So if we are to see a major pullback in altcoins or cryptocurrency overall, which to me is starting to look inevitable, we have a game plan on where we can dip buy some of our allocation on some of these altcoins. So we're going to look at some important levels on Swap right now. So the first thing that I noticed was this overall uptrend more on a long-term frequency. So we have these lows being established right here. So this is going to be the overall trend, in my opinion, that if the price is going to pull all the way down to, this is where it should find long-term support on the overall trend. We also have this secondary trend now moving up in this direction. And this is basically a parabolic trend. So this trend is likely to have a massive breakdown and some sort of reversion back to these levels. The next thing that I did was added a Fibonacci retracement off of this high right here, starting from this low to see where the 61.8 level or the golden ratio on the Fibonacci would be for a timed entry. I also did Elliott wave analysis on this short-term trend to establish that I think we should see a major pullback off of this trend. And if these concepts sounds cool to you, I offer an entire training of how I approach my altcoin and cryptocurrency trading. I will link that below. If you're interested in joining our trading team, you get access to the premium Discord trade ideas, and you're able to ask personal questions to me and the team. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check that out below. But basically, I analyzed this and figured that we should see a pretty decent pullback on Swap, and that should follow the overall trajectory of the cryptocurrency market as a whole. So I have a planned dip buy entry right at this level because we can see the intersection of the 61.8 level right here matching up perfectly with the trajectory of this uptrend right here. So if we are to see the price action sort of move over to this level right over here, this is where I would love to add a significant amount of my entire allocation to Swap right at that point. If we're able to hit that point, it's unlikely that we'll nail it perfectly because crypto is extremely volatile and news driven, especially at the moment. So if we are to hit that, great. If not, if we see a major pullback down to this level at any moment, personally, I will be adding a large allocation to Swap to my overall portfolio. But yeah, guys, I figured I would just cover this. I keep getting a question about a lot of these niche altcoins. And honestly, if I were to look into all of these altcoins, I would spend the entire day researching, and who's to know if there's any sort of legitimacy behind them. That's why I really like TrustSwap, because it adds that sort of layer of vetting on these smaller projects that allow you to sort of invest in some speculative cryptocurrency, but you have a degree of legitimacy there. So anyways, guys, I hope this video was valuable to you. If you're still here with me, make sure you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Turn all the bell notifications on. That way you don't miss anything. If you have any questions for me, make sure you put them in the comments below. The channel is growing traction very, very quickly, so it is harder and harder for me to answer all of these questions, but I will do my best as always to get to them. But anyways, guys, until next time, I will see you all in the next video.